Right. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Great O'Clock. It's that time again. It's the live stream. Great O'Clock at 8 o'clock is Wednesday night, and the regular cohorts are here, all except for -1. The birthday boy, Kevin Cook, is not joining us this evening, but he's with us in spirit. And besides that, I want to introduce my brother, Brandon Clifford. Say something to the good people.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Gerald. Thanks for having me here tonight. Excited for another weekly session of Great O'Clock. Excited to hear the topic and dive into it.
Absolutely. And I am your host, the shy guy with the big mouth, known as Gerald DuBose. And we are getting ready to rock and roll tonight. And we are going to be talking tonight about how you use story in your business. And this is kind of timely because we talk about story a lot. And story is so very important in how you move your business forward and how you separate yourself from everybody else that exists in the same line of work that you do. Because people buy you before they ever buy your business. That's who they meet, so that's who they're buying. So we have to talk about this and see and just get some opinions here. Brother Brandon actually kind of brought this to me this evening. I was like, oh, hey, I'm always excited to talk about story, one of my favorite subjects in the world. So, Brother Brandon, how do you use story in your branding to move your business forward?
Sure, absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head that, story really is everything. And as a business owner or a salesperson or whatever it might be, if it's a side gig that you're starting in branding yourself, being able to tell a story and be a storyteller will just attract the right customers, and where I think most businesses miss the mark though is, if you think about the elements of a story, like what does every story have? You have a hero, you have a villain, right? You got a guide, someone who's going to, like the Yoda character who's going to help the hero. You have some sort of conflict, and then in the end, the hero overcomes evil or whatever. That's the end of the story. And the problem I think most brands do is, they think that they are the hero of the story. And that's something that, what's really important is you have to make sure that the customer is the hero. And if you speak from that perspective on everything, that your customer is the hero of the story, people will be really excited to work with you because now you are the guide that can help them defeat their villains in their life. Does that make sense? Am I getting too philosophical for you already?
Oh no, brother, you're barking up my tree. I love philosophy and psychology. All those P's, they excite me a lot. But to add on to what you're saying, or actually, let me ask you a question before I give my take. People do always think about just what they would call the most common story or narrative that people think about is the hero's journey. And that's what you were talking about right there, where there's a good guy, a bad guy. Somebody else is supposed to be the hero, and they help the hero, and then the hero comes up with new ways of being to be able to create a different type of life. However, in business, what have you found is what you just gave one of the most common mistakes, but how are people not reaching their client or their potential customers or their internal customer as well? Because that's very important. Mm-hmm. How are they not inspiring people to join their cause because they don't have the right story?
Sure. Yeah. No. I mean, that's pretty deep as well of a question, and I'll do my best with it. But mostly it's because I think brands and companies, they sell solutions to the external problems that we have. So I mean, I guess an example of it, is like that you have a dirty floor, so you need a mop. Okay. So that's a simple solution. You have a dirty floor, so you need a mop. But great brands, they don't sell the dirty floor and the mop as a solution. What they sell is, you see they personify the internal problems, the deeper problems. They make like a little monster looking mold guy running around underneath your floorboards and your heaters that you need to get rid of. And so now you really, really need that mop, and that one specific mop that's going to get to the core problem and take care of the goal. So that's the difference, is that we all customers, all people, we have external problems, and we might say, I need a new job, I need a new watch, I need a new car, whatever I need. We all need stuff to take care of our external problems. But the real reason why we need a Mercedes-Benz is not to get us from point A to point B, because a Toyota could do the same thing. We need a Mercedes-Benz because we have some sort of an internal problem, that needs to be solved, whether it's ego, status, whatever, and I think that whatever product it could be, needs to speak more to that internal problem that the customer's having, as opposed to just solving the external problem.
Okay, I like that answer. I will build on that, because I feel that there's 7 narratives that really carry storylines, right? And there are also what I feel and we call 7 different business stories that you really use, because there's more than one story for a business, just like there's more than one story for a life, right? So when people are looking at which story they're conveying and where, I think that most people aren't, or a lot of businesses aren't building their story from the perspective of what you just said. What is the root cause of what's challenging your customer? What is their motivation for wanting this product? Because people buy far more on want than need, because that's what we sell. We sell desire. We sell desire. We sell fear. I'm not going to go all into the full psychological ramifications of what's sold in marketing, but there are like 6 or 7, 5 main things that people sell in marketing that excite and entice you, because as marketers, people understand that emotion is going to drive you. So if I don't hit any triggers, anything that sparks something in you, it doesn't matter if you need this product, it's not going to make you want this product. And that's what we're selling. We're selling the want more than the need. So when people are looking at how they're building out that story, how they are going to convey a message, first, what do these people love? What are their triggers? Your clients, what problems do they have? And what is the trigger for that problem? Because that's really what you're marketing to. That's really what your story is supposed to be about. In this day and age of social media, more so, it's about being able to provide people information that leads them to your brand. When we're strictly talking about from a branding standpoint, I'm going to step back from marketing because it's supposed to be about branding. So from a branding standpoint, how do you become a resource for people? And that's really the story you're trying to tell. Like, hey, I'm here. I have information that can be helpful. If there's any way I can be helpful, come look to me. I.e., why so many people have YouTube channels on how-tos and why this and the top 10 this. Why? Because now when people are legitimately lazy when it comes to thinking. We are built that way as human beings. We don't want to have to think a lot. So if we know somebody that has a top 10 this or a top 10 that, hey, and we like the way they present it, or we believe that the stuff that they say about it, we will go to them. We will go look this up before we go make the purchase. We will go to that YouTube. We will go to that Instagram. We will go to that Facebook page. We will go to the Yelp page. Why? Because we don't want to have to think about it ourselves. Mm-hmm. So if somebody is able to position their brand as a resource and use that story, then I think they can win this game, especially in the information age that we're in.
Yeah, no, and agree with that. And in the information age that we're in, there's so much noise, and that's the hard thing that we have to cut through as business owners, as marketers, as salespeople, and being really good at storytelling and speaking to that internal solution that we're providing, not the external solution, the internal solution. If you get really good at that, eventually your customers tell the story for you. Your employees tell the, and you don't have to sell anymore. And now in the gluttony of the internet, social media feeds and wherever, instead of being the commercial that everyone wants to fast forward through. You are the TV show that everyone wants to DVR and watch, and so that's where it switches. You should be trying to be in the social media world, especially. You want to be the TV show on that media, not the commercial on that media. And that's why it's important to make sure you're telling a story, not just running ads. You know what I mean? Trying to display a feature or a benefit.
Absolutely, and that's actually where story steps in, because story does two things. Storytelling is important because it makes you two things: credible, because people can decide, hey, do they know what they're talking about? As we talked about before on the sales talk, I'm not a kilt wearer. I'm not in this whole know, like, and trust gummy bear leadership crap. That's the biggest hogwash that you all are going to hear. Yes, I said it. If you have a problem, please go ahead and find me in cyberspace. You can find me, Gerald DNWO. We can talk about it. Not an issue. But it's not about know, like, and trust. The bigger the money, the less it becomes about know, like, and trust. The more it becomes about knowing and believing.
If it was about know, like, and trust, our mothers would be our best customers, right?
Yeah, our family would buy everything, right? Is that not true? Our best friends would be in line like, hey, give me 1,000 of them, but they're not. So it's about knowing and believing. And the way you get to know and the way you get to be known, again, is to become that resource. Can people come to you? Can they listen to you? Can they take your word and say, wow, that makes sense? I see how that could work. And then do they believe you? And how do you get to believability? It's that story. It's that connection. How do you connect? It's because you told them a story that they can find themselves in. I'm going to say that one more time because most people may miss that because I was just going on a rant. But you tell the story because people find themselves in the story. Why else do we love movies? Why do we love songs? Because we can relate to what they're talking about, or we love the theme of what's happening there. So the same magic happens whenever you tell a story. But most people want to talk about facts and figures and think that's a story. Numbers are great, but words that come from the heart touch the heart. And I think that's important for people to understand. We do have a guest, and I would like to just give her a moment here. Lady Northington, Jacinta Northington, has joined us this evening. Do you have any questions, comments for us before we start to wrap this thing up? It is a fast and furious 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh. I always have questions and comments, except for when you put me on the spot like that. So of course my mind is completely blank right now.
Well, okay. Well, so versus asking you, do you have questions? What are your thoughts about what you've heard?
Oh, I think that's probably the most important part of marketing, is the story. I can speak about how my firm has carved a very unique niche for itself, dealing with international trade and Section 337 investigations, being the #1 boutique law firm in the country, by telling a story of how we go to battle for our clients. Every single day we've got all these different things in the air, all these different parts juggling. And if the attorneys get some of the story from the marketing department, but ultimately they have to put their own spin on it because one size doesn't fit all. So.
Absolutely. And that goes to the internal story, which is what I was saying in the beginning. You have your external story that is for the clients. You have your internal story that is for everyone within the organization, because they have to understand the mission, the vision. What are we trying to achieve here, so that they can individualize it when they are sitting across from a client, when they are talking to that potential customer. Because as you said, one size doesn't fit all. And in addition, you're an individual. You're not a machine. So your stories that relate to clients are going to be different than everyone else's. Brother Brandon, you look like you had something to add there.
Oh, no, I'm good. I was just agreeing with you guys.
Okay, cool.
It's been awesome tonight, though.
Yeah. Yes. So, Jacinta, do you have any questions about story before we start to wrap up?
No, I don't have any questions at the
Okay.
moment.
At the moment. That's how it usually works. 5 minutes after the conversation, it's 20 questions that come up, but that's okay.
Absolutely.
We'll be back here next week at 8 o'clock. So bring your questions, and we may continue on with this story piece because it is a lot to it. Today, we just barely scraped the surface on how you use it in branding. But as Brandon said, he has the quote of the evening, you want to be the TV show and not the commercial break. It's very important. But so many people use social media as the commercial break. Hey, look at me. Hey, look what I've got to sell. Not, hey, here's some thoughts that I have about what's happening in this industry. Here's some tips that you can use and take. Become the resource, and then people will come to you so that they can use your resources in order to make their life better. So, Brother Brandon, any closing comments for us?
No, just what you said right there, and I think it was back in January or whenever, a quote directly from your mouth was, when you're on social media or you're on your website or whatever, you hear the cliche all the time of adding value. Forget about that. Be of value. Be of value. Speak your truth. Tell the story.
That's it. And Lady Northington, can you tell the people how to find you in the space we like to call cyber?
Okay. You can find me on Twitter at JS Northington or on Facebook at JS Northington.
Awesome. Okay. That is how you find Lady Northington in cyberspace. Brother Brandon, tell them how they find you in the space we like to call cyber.
Yeah, so you can look me up on LinkedIn, Brandon Clifford. Type that in. I'm in the greater Boston area, so you'll find me on there. It's where I spend most of my time. But sure, if we're talking about Twitter, I'm on there too. It's at GF Solutions. That's Global Franchise Solutions. So at GF Solutions on Twitter. And on Instagram, I'm Brandon Clifford Franchise. That's an easy one to remember too. Brandon Clifford Franchise.
Awesome. And if you would like to find the shy guy with the big mouth in the space we like to call cyber, you can easily find me at my website, thenewwealthorder.com. That's new wealth, not new world, order.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn at Gerald, Gerald DuBose, DUBOSE. No I am he, DUBOSE. Easy to find me that way. And hopefully you all will join us next week so that we can continue this conversation about story, because this is a very prevalent point to being able to build a successful business, period. How you use that story. So I want you all to consider this week, how are you using your story? How are you using the experiences that you've had to be able to move people so that you can move your business forward? Question to ponder. But as we always close with, I like to say we choose what type of life we have by the choices that we make. So we hope that you all choose to be exceptional. We'll see you next Wednesday for another edition of Great O'Clock.